Content warning. This video contains strong language and images of drug use, self-harm, and suicide that may not be suitable for certain audiences.
My name's Gabi Delgado. Do I look at you? I'm originally from Dallas, Texas.
When I think of Gabi as a child, she was really different from a lot of kids.
From a very young age, I felt sort of outcasted in a way that's hard to describe.
She would stay back from the other kids and just sit with me.
Playing with other kids my age and doing things that normal kids do never really interested me.
She was very contemplative and quiet. When Gabi was little, I feel like we were very, very close. I feel like we were closer than most mothers and daughters.
My mom and my dad got divorced, and it was kind of a bitter divorce. My mom ended up moving to Florida, and I was still in Texas living with my dad.
When she had to go live with her father, that was really hard on her, I think, because we were so close. She and I were very close around that time. And I think that definitely had a huge effect on her psyche as a little kid, to have to go through that and deal with that.
I would go and see her periodically throughout the year.
Really the hardest part was when she would leave. Just the anticipation even of us separating was a lot for her to deal with. Me too, not just her. I was it was devastating. It was very, very difficult every time we left each other. How was it? She went to a very, very high-performing high school. It was very difficult to get into. They only took 58 kids each year.
It was a very difficult program to get into. I had to maintain an A average and all of this stuff. It was hard for me to cope with.
It was very, very competitive academically, and I think the pressure was a lot for her. And I started getting the feeling something was off because she wasn't paying as much attention to her studies as she usually did. She was a very very responsible kid and very good about doing her work all the time and turning things in. But then I started getting calls from teachers saying she wasn't turning things in, and things just seemed a little off about her.
Before going into high school, I was kind of an ugly duckling. I got made fun of because of my weight and how I looked. So in middle school, I started abusing diuretics and things that would help me lose weight. My freshman year of high school, that mentality of being the fat kid stuck with me, and I started abusing some stimulants that my mom had for a thyroid condition. I started taking them initially because I was feeling tired, and there was a lot of schoolwork that had to be done, and I was overwhelmed with my workload, and it was hard for me to stay up during the day just because of how exhausted I was. I was also losing a lot of weight, and I started to like the way that I looked, and boys in high school started to pay attention to me, and it was just this overwhelming amount of attention that I had never experienced before, and I enjoyed it. That was so appealing to me that I just continued to hang out with the older people and started snorting heroin, and that progressed to shooting heroin and every other drug that I could find.
I was in denial for a long time. And even things that other people could see, I couldn't see. You know, this is crazy, but I don't think I definitely knew until I saw pictures.
She thought it was just a severe case of depression and self-harm and stuff like that, so she always brushed it off as me being overwhelmed or me being tired. Once they gave me that reputation and they associated me with being like a drug user and someone who hangs out with bad people and does bad things, I was like, fuck it, like, yeah, that's who I am.
When I saw the pictures, I thought to myself, she's got to get help soon because this is very scary.
What kind of pictures were they?
They were pictures on her phone of her injecting herself and bleeding. There was a lot of blood, and I think that's when I realized, like, this is really serious. This is out of control.
Yeah, there was never really a time where I thought, I can't keep doing this. That was never an option.
I think the big event that changed everything was one night at the end of the school year. Gabi had gone to stay with a friend, and the next night I couldn't get a hold of her. I was scared to death that she was dead. Finally, after a few hours, I was able to reach her by phone, and I had to lie to her because I knew she was high. I had to lie to her and tell her that her dog was really sick and she needed to come home to take him to the vet with me. She was completely out of her mind. She was just so out of it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to remember what happened.
My husband has his hand in her backpack and he's holding all of these syringes in his hands. And she's screaming, "Why are you in my stuff? Get out of my stuff." She ran into the kitchen and I saw the flash of the knife and I just thought to myself, this isn't gonna be good. Whatever happens is gonna be bad. And I said, "What are you doing?" And she took the knife and just stabbed her wrist and just, she was kicking, towels were screaming, blood so fast, just started going everywhere. And she thought she had killed herself. This scream that I've never heard her scream before. I thought she was gonna die. When you're a parent of a drug addict, you'll take them anyway. As long as they're alive. So that was a really, really hard night. She agreed to go to a recovery program, and no one would take her immediately. I called so many different programs, nobody would take her. But then I called Recovery Unplugged in Fort Lauderdale. They asked to speak to her, and I thought that was really cool. And I could hear them asking her questions on the phone, and the questions were things about music. And she was really getting into these questions. Even in that phone call, I started to see the old Gabi, just very small glimpses of the old Gabi when they started talking about music. And it was such a relief to have someone on the other end of the line say, "We're here for you. Get her on the next plane. We will be here at the airport to pick her up."
Like a week after I got to Recovery Unplugged in Fort Lauderdale, it was a Sunday afternoon, and on Sundays you have free days to do what you like, to go swim, to cook out, to play music, to do whatever you want.
She would call me, and with each phone call, I could hear her coming back to me. I started to hear like joy in her voice again. She was noticing things about the world that she had completely forgotten. There was a small part of her that thought, maybe I could do this.
It was just like a beautiful day outside, and the sun was setting, and there were people swimming in the pool. There was music playing, there were people playing music, and I remember thinking to myself, like, I think things are gonna be okay.
She saw how dark it could get, and that's why she is doing so well now.
Now I like to do a lot of things. I like to play with my dog. I just adopted him in January and he's a blessing and a gift. I like to do things with my boyfriend.
Today's October 4th, 2019, the first day of our road trip.
For his birthday, I planned for this massive road trip where we had a stop in a different city every night, from Fort Lauderdale to St. Augustine to South Carolina.
We are at Flowertown Bed and Breakfast in beautiful, historic downtown Summerville, South Carolina.
To North Carolina. And then down to Weeki Wachee, and we did this whole long trip. It's crazy to think that a few years ago, what I'm doing today was just completely unfathomable.
Talk about a little milestone that you hit.
A little milestone that I hit. Surprise, I just turned 21. I got clean when I was 18. And when I got clean, I initially had a lot of reservations about turning 21, about I won't be able to go out with my friends, I won't be able to drink. It was amazing.
Where are we going?
Go dancing, I don't know, how crazy. I just had a fantastic time, I had a fantastic day, and not once did I think I would have a lot more fun right now if I was out drinking and celebrating the way normal 21-year-olds do.
So now she's in Austin. So I was thrilled because I'm in Dallas, and I just drove down here to spend a few days with her.
So I recently moved to Austin from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and ever since I was young, I used to come to South by Southwest every year, and I remember thinking every time that I came, I want to live here, I can't wait to live here. When I had first gotten 1 month clean, and 2 months clean, and 3 months clean, I would just keep saying, I'm gonna leave and I'm gonna go and move to Austin. But the reality was that it wasn't the right time. I still had a lot of learning to do, I had a lot of growing to do, I had a lot of self-reflection to do, and a lot of life to live and learn from before I was able to make the enormous move and relocate my entire life.
I can't even begin to tell you. When I walked in her little house, everything's so beautiful, and she's so happy. It just made everything, all the struggles that we've been through, it was all worth it to see her here and happy.
If I had had one setback, if there was a relapse in my early recovery or something like that, I don't think that I would have all of the amazing things that I have today.
And when she was little, if I could have thought about where would my daughter be at the age of 21, she's doing better now than I could have ever hoped for. I couldn't be more excited about her life and where she's gonna go from here. I kind of feel like I've been to a therapy session. It's good. I feel good.
If you or someone you love is struggling, call Recovery Unplugged at 855-409-8036 or click the link in the description below.